Hello, my name is Dr. Erica Steele, and welcome to my channel. We are going to be discussing today is holistic medicine simple or complex? So I will be hosting a live today on TikTok and really discussing that topic more in depth. So this is more of just a quick video really to cover the topic. So first thing is, let's talk about what true holistic medicine is, because there is a lot of confusion, especially in today's age, and we'll talk about that because we are in the colonized holistic healthcare time frame. And so before Portuguese came in, before plans were hatched, before structures were created, uh, holistic medicine obviously was very accessible because we were back in our native lands. We communed with the land. We were in sync with nature. We ate with the land, on the land. There was just this reverence and this real matriarchal energy. And this made it really very easy for us to maintain our health and maintain our healing. And these ancient traditional practices oftentimes were passed down in families generation to generation. As we know through colonization, unfortunately, each generation has suffered a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And our particular holistic natural practices have been not only stripped away, but then vilified and demonized, and really rebranded as very primitive and unscientific, and all of these negative connotations. I mean, even in this day and age, you can even liken that to the quote unquote anti-vax movement. And so all of these negative connotations to living a more natural life, a more in sync life, has been relatively demonized because of colonization and this superiority complex that this man-made system is better. And so there is a lot of complexity naturally that colonization provides, because it begins to see that it's losing profit share, it's losing market. And so because of that, it begins to reinvent itself, almost recannibalize on itself. So let's look at the context of inoculations, where they were using, they were testing on Black bodies to be able to look at the efficacy of that. And then when they discovered, or so they felt, perfected it in some way, then they would give it over to YT counterparts. And even to this day, we're not quite sure if that's still happening. And so because there is such a disparity towards public health studies, and really not looking at the complexity of the human being, because when colonization comes in, it also brings in its own unique blend of understanding, which is really, the thinking is very different than that in holistic medicine. Where in more colonized healthcare system, it's diagnose and manage model. So they're looking for and identifying a disease process. And so you can identify a colonized holistic healthcare practitioner, because now we're going into the colonization of holistic medicine, because that particular demonization of people wanting to have informed consent has now turned into really fuel for misinformation and miseducation. And really, it's because there's not been a lot of acknowledgement to the healthcare providers that actually do protect public health safety and public health interest. So the more misinformation that's piled on, and the political interest and the profit margins, it just starts to get really, really messy. And so, like with our current administration, we have in the United States anyway, have in one respect, you have RFK Jr. running on a campaign of removing food dyes, additives, and colors, while also then Donald Trump behests to various corporate structures. So between these two, who will win, right? And who will win? And we definitely unfortunately know who will lose, because there's also a lot of environmental deregulation. So again, you can't truly be holistic if you're not in sync with your environment, with the people around you, your communities. That's all a part of being in a more holistic lifestyle. So you see, we're about to get sold a lot of gimmicks and get rich quick schemes, and lots of people giving lots of promises, which unfortunately, and it's from a very uneducated space because they haven't done the work. They, I mean, they have good ideas, but ideas and execution of ideas are definitely two different things. So you can see that there's complexity with the patient who desperately needs the care and wants the care and needs the care sooner rather than later, because holistic medicine is very preventative. It's like home-based care. And then you have conventional medicine, who is demonizing and vilifying holistic providers pretty much since the dawn of time. And now you have another rogue group, which pretty much they're all the same, let's be honest. But now they're imploding and eating their young. And so it's incredibly unfortunate, but that's when we put profits over people. So speaking of which, when we're in today's healthcare system, so not only is the healthcare system really unsafe for Black and marginalized communities, especially Black women, we have lots of statistics. Commonwealth Fund Study 2024, I speak about this often, 56% subpar care for Black Americans, worse naturally in the South. Access is definitely an issue, and removal of the Affordable Care Act is going to put even more pressure on these marginalized communities. I just really foresee a lot of trauma, not just from a mental and emotional perspective, but also from a nervous system perspective. I think it's going to be very triggering. I think there's going to be just a lot of like, if you're familiar with kind of how the tarot works, it's like a tower moment where the world or the infrastructure to which you have built needs to fall. So similar to what we would call an ego death, and it's necessary. And so here's why it's necessary: because we're going to need to really begin to trust ourselves and trust ourselves more, and not keep seeking a guru or someone outside of ourselves to fix it or make it better. That's us giving our power away. And I think so many of us are truly afraid of our power. And we saw that with this most recent election, where, right after, people were running and, checking to see how they could change their votes, that's a lack of power. And then even below that, the second chakra, the right to have. So a lot of these people didn't feel like they were worthy enough. We're seeing the impacts of colonization in terms of people choosing their own subjugation, people choosing to be unwell. And, so often people come, into my practice, and I ask them, but, if they want to get well. And people are surprised when I tell them not everybody wants to get well. And we're seeing this in real time. Carl Jung, even though he was very racist, still a lot of his work applies. At least in terms of conscious mind, subconscious mind, is having is evidence of wanting. So these exploitation wounds really need to be looked at and healed in order to really connect and build greater wealth. So just to wrap up, I really wanted to connect with everybody, jump on. It's been a while since, I recorded some new content. So I wanted to do that. And really, I just want to continue this conversation. Holistic medicine, although it began very simply, it is now industrialized. And so we have the air, the food, the water, which is all filled with toxicity. With the appointment of, I can't remember exactly his name, it's kind of an odd one, to the EPA, he has not been quite known for, strict practices. And it seems like, a lot of the administration is a combination of grifting and lack of education. And it just seems like, and sadly enough, it just seems like they're really desecrating our education system, and desecrating, people's work that have done for many, many years. I definitely know that I'm part of the healthcare system. I am not the healthcare system. But if you're more interested in all things holistic, I do a lot of content on here, especially health tech content, health education, remote patient tracking, and all things just in the holistic space. So like, share, subscribe, connect, and thank you so much for tuning in.